There's been a lot of uncertainty in not just the US economy, but the global economy. However, the job market has been a steady and consistent strength. We added 431,000 jobs, and the unemployment rate is at 3.6%. That's really, really, really good. So labor force participation and the employment population ratio have increased as we've recovered from the pandemic. We're about 1.6 million jobs shy of where we were before the pandemic started. So at the current gains, we're likely going to meet that in the middle of this year. But the question is, how many more Americans can we get working? How much further can we push up that rate to levels we haven't seen since around 1999 or 2000? Because we really didn't recover fully by those measures from the Great Recession more than a decade ago. Americans have felt worse about the economy, even as the job market has improved. And they felt worse about President Biden's stewardship, which is a real problem because the president, in a sense, wants to be able to say, look at this recovery that has occurred under my watch. But Americans are saying, I don't believe the recovery. They're not looking at the jobs numbers and saying, this totally explains my reality. They're saying it's an incomplete picture. And the idea of an incomplete picture really applies when we talk to inflation. So when inflation was first going up, economists would say there were supply chain issues. This is the reopening from the pandemic. Then as inflation persisted, there was an argument that the president's $1.9 trillion relief package for the pandemic contributed to inflation. Now we're seeing additional forces create inflationary pressure, and that's the fallout from the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So the idea that there's only one thing that can drive the economy or drive economic forces like jobs and inflation just isn't true. It can change over time. Because of the hiring, wages, average hourly earnings, that's what the Labor Department called them, are up about 5.6% from a year ago. That's really good. That's really strong. But wages aren't rising as fast as inflation. So that means that a lot of Americans feel like they're falling behind, even if they're getting further ahead. And until we figure out what to do with inflation, it's going to be a problem, not just for the country, but also politically for President Biden and the Democrats.